Well, thank you very much. Could you please tell us a bit about yourself, where you were born, how old you are? Start off with that.
Okay, so I used to come, I born in the border with Peru, which is a Nuevo Rocafuerte, which is in the Napo River, just border
Oh,
with
okay.
Peru.
Okay. I
And
didn't.
then I moved in this place to the Sunny community.
How old were you when you did that?
And I was like the 7 to 8 years old,
Uh-huh.
I remember, yeah.
Your family moved here to the Sani community?
Yes,
And did they become Sani community members?
right.
Did you have any siblings? Brothers,
And
sisters?
yes, we are a big family, yeah.
Do you mind telling us how many brothers and sisters you?
In total, we are nine.
Nine.
Yes, 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. What did your family do uh, in the Sani community? First, I'm sorry. How old are you, Orha?
I'm 45 right now.
45.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe in the 80s you moved here when you were 7 or 8, something like that.
Yes, around the 80s,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. What was your family doing to support itself back then?
So in that time was, just a few families in the community. San Isla was very, I think it's maybe 5, 6 families
Really?
that time.
Just a small
Yeah,
community?
small families in the area.
Okay.
And then, so my father or my parents means, they used to grow up you know, like the corn, the rice, the plantain,
Where
bananas,
they were growing things,
only the farming.
farming,
Yeah,
fishing,
fishing,
living off the land.
right,
Okay. Did they work to get cash, or was it mainly farming and fishing and so forth?
right.
Okay.
That was the.
Okay. And what were you doing, say, through high school years or teenage years?
So in that time, so it was just for the primary school in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I finished the primary school in the same in this place into the community.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then because I remember when I was 14 years old, I think 15 years old, I I went for work
To get a job?
to get a job.
Where
Yeah,
did you go?
I went to La Selva Lodge.
La
So
Selva Lodge.
yeah,
Okay, when you were 14 or 15.
yeah,
And what did you do there?
doing anything,
Anything they asked you
yeah,
to do?
work in the field.
Okay.
Yeah,
At that time, were you interested in birds?
no,
No?
no.
Okay. So why don't you just tell me what your career has been starting then, and then we'll lead up to the time when you got interested in birds.
So and that time was I worked for 2 years
Okay.
in that place, and I was helping helping the naturalist guides or the
You were
bird guides in that place,
as a helper.
helper.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the lodge was with just one birding guy.
Okay.
So he was my older cousin.
Your
And,
older cousin
yeah, he
was
was
a birding guide at
yeah,
La Selva Lodge?
the Jose Walinga.
Jose Walinda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so I met some of the very hard bird guy from England, that Paul Goodman.
From England?
Yeah,
You met him at La Selva?
yeah.
Okay. And then
He's
what
very
happened?
tough bird guide in Ecuador.
Okay.
And then I was hanging with a group and carrying the box lunches, and the same time I was reading the name and starting learning like the English language, names of the birds in English.
Okay.
And so from that time I started with birds,
Right.
you know,
Did you start learning birds
learn birds, yes.
when you were a helper at La Selva
Yeah,
with famous bird guides and so forth?
exactly.
Okay. Now I heard earlier that maybe you moved to Quito at some point.
Yeah, and then many years later, I worked for a long time in the La Selva Lodge, and then I become a bird guide later
Did you become a
after
bird
the
guide?
6 years.
Oh, you became a bird guide after you were at La Selva for 6 years?
Yes,
And so during those 6 years, you were learning all the birds
right.
by observing the
Mhm.
birds?
I started learning all the birds in the Amazon first, and then I moved to the highland
Where was that?
in Quito.
Were you a bird guide in Quito too?
Also, yes. And then I start to, learn the birds in the highland and the mountain.
The mountains?
Yes, and then I went to the South Ecuador.
South Ecuador.
studying all the birds in Ecuador.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I
Were
thought
you, were you a bird guide in Ecuador?
yes, this time, yes.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. You became a bird guide after you'd been at La Selva for 6 years, and you learned all the birds of
Yeah.
the Amazon, at least the Rio Napo area.
Exactly.
Then you went to the highlands and working for whom?
I work for the tropical birding,
Oh, tropical
Yeah.
birding. Okay.
and they also for many lodges
Okay.
in the country.
And then you moved to the border of Peru
Yeah.
and learned. And how old were you at that point?
And then the good thing for me was the good, the high,
What?
personality. I went to United States.
When was that?
That was then when I was working at La Selva Lodge.
You remember how old you were?
That time I was 26 years old.
Was
around.
that before you worked in Peru and Quito?
After the La Selva.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were you in the United States?
I went for a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah.
You learned English better?
English, I went for English and teaching little kids about the birds,
Oh, where
the,
were you?
the migration in Boston.
In Boston?
Yeah.
You taught people in Boston
Yes.
for 2 months? And then you
I
came,
stay with one family with Mark Blazes. He's
Okay.
the professor there,
Okay.
the science guide.
Okay.
Yeah, I work for the ABA, American
did?
Birding Conservancy in
American Birding
Massachusetts.
Association?
Yeah.
Was this after you'd been all over Ecuador? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
after.
Okay, so let's say by the time you were 25 or 26, you were an expert on birds.
Yes.
You've seen how many species of birds?
I go in the country going for. I don't remember well, but I have over the 1,400 species in my
In Ecuador
in,
or
in
in
Ecuador.
your life?
In Ecuador.
Okay, so is that your bird list, 1,400 species?
In my life, it could be around the 1,700 around,
How much?
1,600 we can say.
1,600.
Yeah.
Okay, but and 1,400 in Ecuador.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it about birding that you like about birding? Let me start over. You're really one of the world's top experts in Ecuadorian birds. I know you're probably modest about it, but honestly, wouldn't you say that's true? You're one of the top experts on Ecuador's birds.
When
This is called cross-examination. Be honest now.
okay, so
Okay, well let me start over. What is it you like about birding and bird guiding and being an expert in birds?
because that is my hobby,
It's a hobby.
I love the birds. I love the nature.
What do you
Of
like about
course, I love the animals too, right?
What is it you like about the birds?
Because I'm doing some counting the numbers in the country.
Oh,
Also, in some places, in some points, we doing some like the competition between the guides, the bird guides in the
like
country.
bird counts,
Yeah.
and you like keeping track of the bird populations. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
What birds live where, and
Also the numbers of the species,
the numbers of species
Yeah.
and where they live,
Right.
and you like having competitions with the other bird guides.
Yes.
Okay.
That is very good thing for the guides, for the bird guides in the country. If somebody saw the rarest bird, so you have to go there. You have to know the place where the species they stay. You can find.
So you have to know where to go to find the rare species and the other species.
Yeah.
So when did you become an expert bird guide? How long have you been an expert bird guide?
I studied for many years, almost 7 to 8 years, about the birds in the country, and after that, yeah, you had to say, okay, now I'm the bird guide.
So how long have you been a bird guide?
I'm working almost 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you studied very hard for 7 years, became a bird guide, and then have been working as a professional bird guide for about 20 years.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. How important is knowing the sounds of the birds, the songs of the birds, the calls of the birds?
So about the sounds of the birds, the most important, because each bird, each species has almost 5 to 6 different songs,
Right.
and you have to learn all the songs.
Okay.
because all the clients, all the group, the bird group is coming from different countries. You had to know all the sound because they ask you, where's the sound? What's the sound? What species? Like switching that sound all around. But you had to be very, you had to know it.
So there's more than 1,000 species in Ecuador, isn't that right?
Yes, we had
So
this
you maybe know
1600.
5,000 different bird songs.
Exactly. Yeah.
And isn't it easier to identify them by sounds because you don't even a lot of times you can't even see them.
And it is easy
Okay.
when you really decided to know. I mean, to make identification the birds.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you told me that you're training the new guys here in the Sani Lodge and in the community, and that must be a pleasure when you see them succeed as a bird guide. And so, is that true? And then, what do you tell them? How do you start them out that they're going to be a bird guide?
Yeah, because to become a bird guide is not easy. I think it's the hardest. I mean, the hardest part to become a bird guide. So yeah, we teaching. We are many like the Javier, me, and another guide. We're teaching the younger people, the new generation, because they had to know. I mean, not just to be a guide, they had to learn about the nature. In this case, we teaching the younger guys like to be the naturalist guide or the bird guide in the community. The idea, is to have the guide the people from that community, from this area, because many places or many lodges, or most of the lodges, they have different guides from different places, or they coming from the city or from different areas. But Sunny is we working all together. We are the guys from here, from the community, and so that is another point to teach the rest of the another younger people. Yeah.
And I guess more than just knowing the birds and the sounds and the habitats, you have to teach people how to deal with the clients.
Yes. Yeah. Because when you born here, I remember.
Sorry.
Yep.
Talk to George, okay?
So the camera, yeah.
Okay.
Talk to me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just look at me when you're answering.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
I was talking about the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had to know the nature or everything. When you born into the jungle, I born into the jungle,
Right.
so it's like from that time when you're growing up, you had to know everything, what to do, where to go. If you lost in the jungle, but you had to know, you had to come back, you had to survive.
Right.
And so in that way, it's gonna be, it's like you are from the jungle. It's gonna be like the easy things to, to have this life.
You have to feel at home in the jungle and
Yeah. So the jungle's our home.
right.
Yeah.
What is it you like about living in the jungle?
So this time, I love the place, like the lagoons, the kind of trees. I mean the forest. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
beautiful. It's very, the very very quiet. Just you can hear the bird songs, animal songs around. So that's different.
So the interaction with the clients, you must get some pleasure from showing somebody what you love.
In the jungle.
Yes.
So in this case, I love the birds, right? Because I'm not lower.
What are some of your favorite birds?
My favorite bird is gonna be the eagle,
The eagle,
the harpy eagle.
harpy eagle.
Yeah.
Do you like all the eagles or just the harpy eagle?
It's like the favorite birds gonna be harpy eagle.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the birds?
Because there is many birds, many species in the country, which is very beautiful birds. But
Do you know where you can find a harpy eagle around here?
So this morning we found from the canopy tower.
pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
we are lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any particularly memorable birding experiences, like a great day or a great bird that you've seen?
Yes, depend also the weather, you know.
Uh-huh.
When the raining day is not very good for the it's not much activity, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So when the day is very but not too hot, could be very how you can say. Or after the rain, it will be better also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All the birds coming flying, very active, most in
So,
the morning.
so is there a bird list for the Sawney Lodge area?
Yes, we had a checklist.
And how many birds are on the Sawney checklist?
Right now, until this time, I did like the 560, I think 62 around,
Just in the
just
Sawney
in the sunny area.
Lodge area?
Yeah,
Okay, so that means if people come here to see birds, there's over 500 birds they might see. Okay.
yeah.
Well, where do you see the birds around here? Because you know, where do you see all these hundreds of birds?
Yeah, we had to go find the trails, river islands along the riverside, or secondary forest or primary forest. You know, it's different habitat
Right.
for different species,
Right.
and then you have to move all around.
Okay. So you've been birding professionally for over 25 years. Have you noticed there's less birds now than there used to be?
Oh yes, I remember, because the first time when I started to birding, become the bird guide, was a feeding. We call it a feeding flock or mixed flock, right? It was in one feeding flocks you can find like over 20 species. But now it's like almost nothing. Maybe just 5 or 6 species in one feeding flock. So that's the happen.
Fewer feeding flocks per week. So,
Yeah,
You know, it used to be. So there's less feeding flocks now,
less.
and
Yes,
then there's less birds in each less species
less
in each feeding
species.
flock.
Yes.
When did that? When did you start noticing that happening?
I think it's like maybe we can say maybe 15 years ago.
15.
15 years.
Okay. Have you talked to other bird guides about this?
Yeah, we talking, you know, each other, all the guys in the country like that. So what's wrong with that?
How many professional bird guides do you talk to? How many professional bird guides are in Ecuador, do you think?
Many.
Many?
Yeah.
Like
So
20,
this time is
30?
we can say maybe 30, 35,
30?
30 to 40.
So,
Yeah.
and they're your friends,
Yes.
and you've talked to your 30 professional bird guide friends, and they agree there's a lot less birds than there used to be.
Yeah.
Do they talk about why they think that is?
So when we talk about the birds, disappearing the bird or species, we talk about the global warming thing. That's what they were thinking.
Why do they think
But
that?
here in the part in the Amazon, so the same time we think about the oil, the exploration, you know,
It might be damaging the
maybe
forest.
damage to the forest or too many the fires into the jungle. So maybe also this could be some another problems as well.
Have any scientists talked to you about this, or are any scientists studying this?
Mm, Not very with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I think we had to talk also about that
Yeah.
with these guides.
Okay. Let's take a brief break. Okay, let's think of some more questions.
I have one.
Go ahead.
So, can you talk to George and just imagine that you're out in the jungle, either by yourself or with a client, and you're moving through the jungle. What senses are you using, and how are you moving? Can you describe the experience on how you're able to discover the birds, either by hearing or feeling inside you, or listening or smelling?
Yeah.
Just talk to George about the whole experience of birding for
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, about the birds and the birding in the jungle, you know, when you go when you are into the jungle, when you're going for find the one species, so it's like feeling very happy, you know. Sometimes you're not seeing, it's gonna be not very happy. So that's happened with when you going to find the birds, you know, it's like you need to see something like that. Not just the colorful birds, but it's gonna be the species of the bird.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any tricks or advice you would give to people when they're trying to get into birding and discover birds? Is there any advice you could give for someone like me who's really just starting to get into learn
Yeah.
about birds?
Another also is gonna be you have to use the whistle,
Whistle.
whistling. Yeah.
Make noises
Make
for the
the
birds.
noise for birds. Yeah.
To call the birds in.
Exactly.
And now they have computers that do that.
Right.
Little.
So this time, you know, we're using also the microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Recording name. So that when you, by the times when you whistle, when you attract by yourself or with the group, when you are with a group, it's gonna be just you are the, you know, imitating the rest of the sounds.
And I just have one more question. What do you feel is the most important quality for a good bird guide, for a successful bird guide?
When you show the most the good species of the birds, yeah, you have to show it to the group. You have to find it.
It's a lot of pressure.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
I know the clients aren't very happy when they're not seeing very many birds.
Yeah.
So, what birds are the clients? Sure, everybody wants to see a harpy eagle. Okay. But what other species are the clients the most excited to see when they come to Sani?
So they come in for the harpy eagle, they come in for the agami heron, they come for the zigzag heron,
Okay.
and also for the one of the cotinga, the black neck red cotinga.
Red cotinga.
Yeah, black neck red cotinga.
Black neck.
Black neck.
Red cotinga. Do you have any mannequins here?
We had the mannequin, yes, for wire-tailed mannequin, one of the very colorful birds.
And they have lecking
They have the
behavior?
leg, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fun to see. Do you also see other wildlife when you are birding?
Yeah, sometimes I found like the jaguar, like the wildcats, you know.
Yeah. You see those sometimes.
Wildcats, tapirs,
Tapirs.
yeah,
Jaguars.
jaguars,
Different kinds of snakes.
or snakes also, like the poison snakes, you know,
Insects.
insects, yeah. Monkeys,
Okay.
you know.
Monkeys. Anything else, Carl? Or?
Is there anything you'd like to tell us that we haven't asked you about yet?
And what else? I forgot that. I don't remember what.
Huh?
Okay.
So I think it's
Do you have any comments about the Sani Lodge itself? Do you have any?
common species around.
What?
Yes, the common species of the birds.
No, just
No.
ideas or things you have noticed about the Sani Lodge, the people, the birds, your feelings.
Okay, you know about the people. So this time I would like to talk about a little bit about how I start the lodge. You know?
Okay.
Because when the time we start the lodge, the open the lodge means we divided in two groups, different groups. It was like a little hard
It was hard.
Yeah, because most of the people that time we were working in the oil, with oil companies. So with the time we opened the tourist the lodge was something hard, and then we had to decide to convince the rest of the people come to the tourism group. You know.
Okay, so were you involved in this, I don't know what to call it, but in around the year 2000, the oil company wanted to come and drill here. Were you here at that time?
Yes, I was
Okay,
here.
so what do you remember about that?
I remember the we divided in two groups. Yeah,
Okay.
that was my.
The-
The first one was not good for the local people, for the community.
So the two groups were the ones that wanted to sell the oil company and the ones that
Part of the tourists.
wanted to keep the forest.
Yes.
Okay, well,
So years later, so I think maybe 4 or 5 years later, we became all together. So now we working just one group. We working, you know, all together.
okay, so people decided not to allow the oil companies to drill in the lagoon area and to form the Sani Lodge instead?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not anymore now. You know,
What?
it's like the private place. We had a lodge here, so
Uh-huh.
nobody's gonna come around. So that's the good.
Do you think it's helping the community to have the Sani Lodge?
Sunny Lodge.
Yes.
This is the main project in the community.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's we need to keep maybe forever. Yeah,
Cool.
doing well this time.
And it's sort of unified the community a little bit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
doing the.
I'm good.
Carl, anything else?
No, just I was going to tell you about. You must have some difficulties. I know some bird guides. You know some interesting clients that you get sometimes, and that must be some
Sometimes
skill
happen.
You have to teach your new birders that
Right.
the clients.
Yeah, they had to know
the
it.
difficult ones and.
Yep.
Probably a lot of difficult ones.
Right.
I've heard some stories from Dushan.
Yeah. So I had a question for you.
Sure.
So what do you think about this place?
I love it,
Wow,
man.
We
I
love it. We
Yeah,
love it.
I
This is
love the
paradise.
birds. This is the most bird song I've ever heard. I want to take film. I want to record. I want to do this.